All right. All right. Welcome back to the podcast, the Tubecast.
We'll
Uh,
eventually name it. We'll name it something eventually.
one day, one day, no, true art takes time
Yeah,
to percolate.
it's got to
So,
happen organically.
yeah,
Maybe someone in the comments, you guys can name it.
yeah. I was gonna say we should also work on the top of the show. If you want to see a topic or you have questions, put it in the comments below,
Yeah,
and weeks after we post it, we'll eventually read them and then we can address it then.
we're getting flooded with comments, so it's very difficult to keep up.
It's really hard. Uh, you wanna reply to every fan individually, but
Hmm.
this is what Ryan Gosling feels like.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we're pretty much him.
I'm surprised that's the Ryan you went with, not Ryan
I
Reynolds.
just watched The Fall Guy.
Ah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
very good.
good
Very
flick.
good.
So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
speaking of the Fall Guy,
Huh?
the Fall Guy, it's a cross country movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. Whoa, crazy sequitur. Speaking of cross country,
Yeah.
how how is
Yeah, we're
cross
getting
country
good.
speed development
We're
going,
getting
Nico?
good. I
That's
think
incredible how
we're
that played out.
yeah. So we started week 5 of our our season.
Okay.
Um, and the reason I wanted to talk about it to this week was because last week we had our third week of running time flies. And I'll show you again because we didn't go through this before what I did with these guys. But
Yeah.
we had like a remarkable improvements, and I was blown away.
Nice.
It was really impressive to see some of the improvements. Overall averages dropping, a tenth for some of these guys in their flight times, and of course they're like getting comfortable with the skill of sprinting. But
Yeah.
I think the more impressive thing is that their technical skill is so much better. They're starting to look like sprinters, which is really impressive. I wish I had, and I didn't think of this originally, but I don't have a video of them running the week one.
Okay.
But I took some videos of them at the end of their workout. We had some 200s, and you can start to see like the the uh, the initial points of some of like what sprinting should like sprint mechanics, and then that spillover into their general running mechanics when they're doing their mileage and stuff like that. Just better foot placement, how they're cycling, body
Nice.
posture, all that stuff. It's really cool. Let me share my screen
So
real quick and let me kind of show you
yeah.
what we went through so far, so you have an idea.
Yeah. So you're in week 5
Yeah,
of the season, but week 3 of flies.
not yeah. Week 3 flies. So week
Okay.
1, I took I took the approach. I'm not going to put these kids into a position where they're sprinting fast. Um, I'm not of the group that says sprinting from day one. I think there needs to be a preparation period.
Sure.
So we took our top guys and we said, okay, we have groups 1 through 3. You guys are going to do X, Y, and Z, and then everyone else, you're going to start at much more of a developmental stage. So the guys that are in group 1, 1, 2, and 3, they were training over the summer. They were lifting. They were doing stuff that was prepping them for some sort of, high impact, high velocity work. So week 1, you can see here, was super simple. It was just mini
Yeah.
hurdle runs. We were doing mini hurdle runs, skipping, and broad jumps.
Nice.
This was the circuit for their speed development prep. Now the week was a little bit unique in terms of training because we had that Monday off, and then we had like an institute day or something like that.
I
So
was
we
gonna
didn't get
say
to our
week
second day.
yeah, week ones are usually really wonky.
Yeah. So it was a wash. It was to teach them, all right, what are we doing? Sprint. How do we sprint? How do we prepare to sprint? How do we actually want to sprint? So we set up mini hurdles. We set up a lot of them. I mean, they were going through 15 to 20 mini hurdles, really understanding the the mechanics of upright running. And what I was telling our coach, because one of the things that he's concerned about is the idea of like losing a day to volume. But when they do these things, I mean, these guys are running. This is a lot. You know,
Yeah.
we ended up doing 4 sets, so 200 meters of mini hurdles at speed, and there's a 25 to 30 meter build in, and then we run out of it. So you're running solid 80 meters through, plus the
Nice.
skips and everything like that.
Yeah.
Then we do
Yeah.
some med ball throws. The general strength circuit's always on Saturdays after our workout. So then week
Gotcha.
2, we get into it. So speed development warm up, we started just teaching them like, all right, basic ankle pops, basic like rudiment jumps, skips, prime times buildups. And then I always throw like a backwards run in between these things,
Cool.
just to pick up some elasticity in the Achilles and calf from backwards running. And then,
yeah,
sorry,
I think backwards running is especially for cross country runners, like how many cases of Osgood-Schlatters and patellar tendonitis do you get? And I think backwards
yeah,
running is a nice little inoculation to that.
yeah, big time. And then, so for our top guys, our speed development on Tuesdays is just mini hurdle runs, because they have a workout afterwards. So the compromise between the head coach and I was like, we can find places where we can take some volume and turn it into something different. So on Tuesdays, we kind of do a mix of what I call speed development prep, because it's not really speed development, right? It's running mini hurdles. They're running them with a constraint, so they're not able to hit max velocity, but they're working on the technical aspect of upright running. And then they'll do a med ball circuit after they come back from their workout.
What kind of spacing are you doing on your mini hurdles?
So the exact like centimeter, I don't know, because I just use my foot. My foot is, I use 6 of my feet, which is like, I have a size 13. It's slightly longer than it's like about 13 and a half, 14 inches with the shoe.
Okay.
So 6 of those.
2-ish
So you're
meter.
looking at, but yeah,
Okay.
maybe a little bit less.
I was just curious because
maybe 195.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
just because is that pretty similar to what you would do with sprinters too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of these yeah, because a lot of the sprinters, that distance is short for them. They want to go longer. But my philosophy with mini hurdles is the idea of the constraint is to get you to understand how to get your foot down faster in the right position. I don't necessarily need them to be putting out max output into the ground to try and cover more distance for that drill. Because what I have found over the years is when I space them out further, they start to feel like they have to reach, because there's that constraint, there's that obstacle in the way, and they start to have to reach. Even if it's like the same as what their stride length would normally be when they sprint, they feel like, oh, I got to give a little bit extra. And then the only reason why I've changed it up is because I've seen a correlation between a longer distance that makes them feel like they're overstriding, and then slower fly times when we contrast those, because then they start to overstride during the flies.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like it. They don't look rhythmic like it normally does, right? Yeah.
They
start to like over push. Yeah. They really over push in those things. So when I tighten it up, their foot position is better. And then when they go through the gates, it's a much more open, fluid movement. And all we focus on is where's the foot landing on the foot in the mini hurdle runs, and then how does that feel when you run the flies.
So did week 1 look a little bit like Bambi trying to run through like?
Oh yeah,
Tires.
it's awesome.
Okay,
it's the best. But that's the idea. Like, yeah.
Blink twice if you laugh so hard your stomach hurt during that one. Yeah.
So
very nice.
So Fridays are the speed development days, flat out speed development days. We'll put the first 3 weeks, we only did 3 of them. So I'm like, all right, we're not going to risk it. I know that 3, they'll be fresh. They'll work through it. We'll do a circuit in between. For the young guys, they they're not doing any flies. I don't think they're
Okay.
developed enough to even like to even warrant that being a thing. So we did mini hurdle runs for them, and we were going to continue mini hurdle runs, but they did a lot more volume, a ton
Got
more volume. So you see, they only did 3 flies and then a power circuit in between. These guys did mini hurdle runs, this, and then afterwards we just throw in some intensive tempo work. And the goal here is, what does this feel like? Technical skill, and how can we
Yeah.
match this?
Gotcha.
And this is kind of an idea of like just flush the system here, kind of get their CNS a little bit back into so that they can come back Saturday morning and do something uh, cardiovascular, aerobically challenging.
Okay.
Week 3, we had a meet. Ended up getting canceled, but we didn't run the speed development stuff. Now we're developing a little bit more into the warm up. So we did some deep tier plyos, and then same warm up, fly 10 now with 5% drop off, so a little bit more volume.
Okay.
And then the frosh off, still we're doing the same thing,
Gotcha.
except now we're developing some more plyometrics. So we're scaling up the plyos for those guys. Week 4 went into it, went because this week was a more of a volume based week. We did an 8% drop off,
Okay.
power circuit. Now they're running mini hurdles in between. So now they're getting the stimulus of the fly, working the mechanics through the mini hurdles, doing that circuit.
So you're going fly, then mini hurdle run, scoop
Yeah.
toss for height, back to fly.
No, they're going through all 4 of these. So
Oh,
it's a
okay.
huge power circuit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they'll run the fly, they'll do a mini
Yeah.
hurdle, they'll do scoop tosses, altitude drops, broad jumps, and then they'll walk a 400. So it
And
takes
then
5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll get back to it.
okay. Nice.
So for the cross country guys, this is a little bit less of increasing max velocity and more of understanding how to put out power,
Yeah.
right? Just in
Yeah.
general. Whereas like a sprinter, you might give them 10.5 to 11 minutes rest between something like this.
Yeah.
But these guys are running times that are not even about the time. It's just their body hasn't even gotten to the point where they understand how to sprint. So
Yeah.
they're still limited. And this past week was finally the first week where their body was like, all right, here's the true effort that I can give you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like they're not even able to express the power they need to
Yeah.
within any type of running to really hit speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I think. That's where usually I see, weeks 4, 5, 6 is when they start to see that their
Okay.
body starts to allow them to be able to do that. And that in turn, then we start to have to scale back or give them more rest or change some of the stuff.
Okay.
So
Cool.
this week, same thing for the big guys. They're just running mini hurdles before their workout. And then the other guys, we started to add in some more stuff with some sled pulls.
Nice.
So we'll do sled pulls, reverse sled pulls. And this is more of a less about actually learning how to accelerate, more about just building general strength for
Yeah.
these young guys. So building general strength, so we go forward and backward, so they're getting some sort of aerobic capacity or getting some sort of not aerobic capacity, but some sort of anaerobic stimulus, and then some plyos or some
Yeah.
power work.
Are you seeing it do you have any by any chance stats on like injuries last year versus this year?
No,
Is there no?
no. It's like we haven't gone through it enough to
Sure.
to justify. I think that a lot of these young guys that have the shin splints, stress
Okay.
reactions we're not seeing that as much just because they're not running as
That's yeah, I was kind of wondering if
much.
there's because you got two variables in here, but
Yeah,
I'm also very curious to see how that plays out in track season.
yeah.
So
But and also I can't we because the seasons are so different. We did this season we're doing such different things than last season. It's going to
yeah,
be it's going to be apples to oranges. But I'm
Sure.
curious to see how are they going to be able to maintain their performance, because right now they're running really well. For where we were at last season, this point last season compared to this point this season, it's night and day. They're
Nice.
running on average, if we're doing quarters, on average they're running a second half faster per quarter than they were last year this time.
Jeez.
And
Okay.
I do think part of it is because they are generally faster. Part of it is also because they're more mature, of course.
Yeah.
But we see it over the blanket of everyone. So
Yeah. Yeah.
even from like freshmen to sophomore to juniors, it's just everyone is just on average like about a second and a half faster. So I do think that the speed work that they did in the summer, speed work that they're doing here, the strength training that they're doing, has all led to them being able to just do their capacities is higher for a faster interval.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So then now, last fourth week, and then now I'm just keeping it pretty much the same. So
Okay.
we've gotten to depth jumps for these guys. So week 4, we're doing some depth jumps. It's actually not 6. It should be 3. Should change that. We did 3 depth jumps. So
Nice.
this was last week.
Gotcha.
So now here are the times. So this is Emmett, one of our guys. First week. So this is week 3 of our speed work. First week
Okay.
of flies. So these are his fly times. And then you could just see now his body's like, oh, after 3, he's warmed up. And now you start to see, he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, I can start producing some effort. And this guy's like he'll come through comfortably at repeats at, you can see him here, 70, right?
Okay.
For all his quarters,
Wow.
you know. Yeah.
So
And then
he's pretty
like
comfortable.
here's week, this is the start of the summer or start of July. So he's
Got it.
running, these are quarters and he's running 70, 75s, whatever. And now we're at comfortably running 70s. And these are
Nice.
meant, obviously they're meant to be at 70. He wants to be at 70s.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was in August. And now he's like, there's another list, or I can't remember, but he'll go through at 68. It's on our other sheet, but this was August. So now last Monday we did, and he was at, his average was 68, and his last through at 57.
57
Yeah. 3 of
for
them at
free?
57 for his last 3. I was fucking blown away. Yeah.
Wow.
It was impressive.
Jeez.
This kid's a beast. This kid is the kid that you'll see. I actually have videos of him running, but this is the kid that is I'm most impressed with how much his technical skill has changed. And I don't think anything has to do with his aerobic capacity. I think it's simply that his technical skill is just, he's so much more efficient that
Yeah.
he's just running better, and that's why he's crushing these repeats.
Wow.
Here's another guy. Let's see here. Here's my most inconsistent technical runner.
Okay.
You can see it. So these are his first 3 flies, right? He's all over the place. So he
Yeah.
runs like really, he leans forward, runs a lot like in that position, whatever.
Okay.
And then you see him now, he's just, again, all over the place, but technical skill, he just can't apply that, right?
Sure.
Um,
He's um what year is he?
these are 3 seniors that we have.
Okay.
And this is another guy we got. Again, we're in the 1.2s, he hit 1.1, and then now it's just consistent 1.1s
Ones.
across the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Popped off a 1.15 at the end
Wow.
after, so on his 6.1. Yeah.
Very
Probably
nice.
should have removed the names. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up a video of this one kid, because like what you can really see
Okay.
is how these kids are running. But that's the most impressive thing for me is, let's see, that's not it.
I'd be interested to see their like heart rate data as well.
Yeah.
Just,
Um,
from if you're more efficient, your running economy is improved. So are you covering distances at paces with lower heart rates? Or are you covering distances at faster paces with the same heart rate?
Yeah. And I would what we have generally spoke about is that they are running the same heart rate, faster
Okay,
paces. So that's
cool.
my assumption is that now can we truly say that they're more aerobic without doing blood testing and all that shit? No, but the assumption is that they're learning and developing the skills of running better and they're
Yeah.
becoming more economical. They're
Yeah.
using less energy. So we can assume that they're becoming more capable aerobically and anaerobically fit. I think
Yeah.
that's a fair
Yeah.
assumption to make.
Yeah.
But some would argue that I've been on Twitter that that is not an accurate statement and you can't make that statement. So here are these two guys. Is this film going? No,
Shame on
no.
you for making that statement.
Yeah, right. Let's go with half speed playback.
Cool.
All right. So again, these are the two top guys right now. You can kind of see like they don't necessarily. These are just in interval 200s tempo pace. Don't necessarily look like distance runners. This is the guy that is running those 57s. Not bad positioning. And then you can see
No,
this is the guy that's inconsistent with his
I was gonna say
mechanics.
there's your lean forward guy. I
Yeah,
see what you mean there.
right. So good mid, initial strike just in front of the center of mass, right? You can see there's a little bit of separation in the knees. Uh, so like here, right, on initial strike,
Yeah.
there's separation in these, but the guy's a distance runner, high school distance runner, right? He's never learned how to
Yeah.
do this stuff. Here, he's in a more squatted position, but I do think that's because he's not quite understanding midfoot strike, on initial strike. You see that there's a big separation here,
Yeah.
but so on strike, on contact, or mid stance, or initial strike contact, whatever you want to call it, there's separation. But again, I
Yeah.
think it's because he's not yet quite powerful enough to produce that amount. And this is after the whole workout too.
I
So
also
then mid,
yeah, I think
yeah,
I think the idea of the scissor action coming through really fast on a distance runner just it doesn't always make sense.
yeah,
That that's not easy.
yeah,
It is kind of tough on you, and to try to do that over 5 kilometers would be brutal for every
yeah.
step.
And now, of course, they're not going to do that during the race, but
Yeah.
it's the idea that let me see if I have the other guys. It's the idea that they are able to switch gears.
Yeah.
Can they go from that, kind of distance runner esque shape to a sprint shape? Can they change that? Do they
Yeah.
have that ability? And that's my whole concept with this is that just giving them the ability to do that will allow them to uh, have access to that.
Or even just closing the gap between what a traditional distance runner might have looked like in the 90s and what a
Yeah,
sprinter looked like today. Um, I think this is a Dan Path-ism as well, where he spoke a lot about distance runners used to want to stay on the ground.
yeah,
Like you don't want to be in the air because you can't work while you're in the air. But and that's why distance runners got super grounded on the heels and grounded on the
yep,
flat foot. But it's
yeah,
really it should look a lot more like sprinting. And the best distance runners do. I think the greatest example is like Mo Farah, 2008
yeah,
Olympics. The guy was a
100%.
sprinter.
Yeah,
Um,
but and who was it? Someone I can't remember exactly who it was, but they were analyzing the sprint stride of Usain Bolt and the sprint stride of Kipchoge,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you're looking at two guys that have very similar mechanics, but the
yeah,
difference is the fact that just how much power are they applying to the ground.
yeah,
Unbelievable how similar it is.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I think having at one point been a distance runner, um, I could say like it's a scary. I think the biggest thing is like probably what you went through that first few weeks. Um, I can't imagine a coach steeped in traditionalism, which, you know, I'm not going to speak uh, for your coach that you're working for, but but I do know there's a deep, deep tradition. And
Yeah.
when you're a distance runner, changing mechanics like that, like there's a period where running becomes unnecessarily hard.
Yeah.
Like you're so used to you develop economy with your style of doing it. And then when you change it to what should lend itself to faster running, it all of a sudden it's so much more labored. But then you get through the backside of that and it's so much better. And then your ceiling goes way, way up, your floor comes way up.
Yeah.
But you do have to struggle through that, like just the mental block of like, this is not how we've always done it. This is
Yeah.
not the tradition of distance run. Not like, and not even just the school you're at. Like distance running writ large has had
Yeah.
that method of how you run is how you run. Like you can just run however you want. That's what your body wants you to do. And it's like, well, actually, like there is a model. Let's
Yeah.
move closer to it. Like,
Yeah.
you don't see none of the distance runners at the elite level run squatty heel strikey. You
No.
know, it just doesn't
Yeah.
happen. So,
I
and
think
if they
one of the
do, they're so far
changes,
back, you're not watching them.
yeah, 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 exactly. One of the changes that we made this year versus last year is that I don't think there are no runs we did up to this point that don't have um some sort of change within them, whether they're surges, whether that's an up tempo for a period of time. So even if they're out for a long run, there are periods of surges. So the kids have to still understand like there's change. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I feel like a lot of I can't blink. I'm not going to blanket statement this, but I think in the past, we're so emphasized on you have to hit paces and they have to be at this. And then when you run a race, it's not how you run a race.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, it's close, right? You have to have some sort of understanding of where you are and how you're pacing and where you are at the half, and do I have to pick it up? But at no point are you just running rhythmically at this pace the whole time, especially in cross country when the elevation changes, when
Yeah.
there's contact changes on the ground, the grass is higher, all of that stuff changes your mechanics. So give them that opportunity, give them the literacy to be able to change from one to the other. And then I think the biggest thing that you see, and we don't see this a lot on our courses, but when running a hill,
Yeah.
understanding true upright sprint mechanics can help them truly run a hill without
Yeah.
having to run hills, because now they know how to get onto the ball of the foot. They know how to stay more upright. They're not going to lean super far into this hill and then go really heavy flat foot, right? They
Yep.
can drive up the hill and be comfortable because now we know how to lift our knees. Number one, like you know how to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
into that position. So
Oh
that's
God,
like,
could you imagine trying to run a hill on your heels?
yeah,
Dude, that
it's
would
you
be
can't.
brutal. Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah, right.
Race
But a lot of
over.
people do. A lot of
Yeah.
people do. Right? Out of
That's
so, I want to hear your feedback on having gone through just what do you see that we can improve upon? Because we still got 5 more weeks. I can make changes.
yeah. Well, I think, I want to really re-emphasize a point you made that I think the the distance world gets a little lost on, and that is like the race is what the race is. Like it's like milers who want to go out and even split 4 laps.
Hmm.
No, stop,
Yeah,
stop trying to do that. That's not how the
yeah,
race works. You're not going to run 15 flat in a 3 mile course by going 5 flat, 5 flat, 5 flat. It
yeah.
just, that wouldn't make sense. Even from a like you're going to see a finish line and be like, oh, no, no, I'm not picking it up because I'm on 5 flat. It's like,
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. So I get so frustrated with the distance world of like, we need to run an even split. In a marathon, like, yeah, for sure. Try to run an even split. Even 10K, I think there's room for even splitting early on, but then you got to race. And if you watch the Olympics, that's not how that worked at all.
yeah,
So I get so frustrated with the like, especially in cross country, the idea that, and this is coming from I'm in a conference steeped in cross country history, like deeply. to the point that we have selected a single course to be our conference championship course, regardless of where the schools are hosting it. It's the same
Yeah.
course. So we can have basically like a speed rating on it. Like you can compare year over year. And I'm like, that's not cross country to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, no,
That's track.
yeah, yeah, right. I'm like, if you
Yeah.
want to do track, do track. It's
Yeah.
that's so but I think to the point of like train to the race. You know where you're going. You're going to Detweiler.
Yeah.
So what is Detweiler like? Well, one, it's fast, but it also has inclines, declines,
Hmm.
and here in Elmhurst, there aren't those.
Yeah.
We we have almost no inclines and declines. I remember like biking up York and was like, this is the only hill around.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It shouldn't be as challenging as it is, but I haven't had a hill in 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, the last, what, 600 meters at Detweiler is an incline. It's not steep, but it's 600 meters of an incline to the finish line,
Right at the
you
end of a
know?
3 mile race. Like
Yeah.
that's not nothing.
Yeah.
So um I think like you guys are killing it. Like obviously the stats are working for you from a changes I would make. Gosh, I don't know that I have any notes really. Like um what I would see maybe coming down the pipe is are we gonna check into some overuse work on kids who are not necessarily taking care of their bodies, which high schoolers tend to do.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe maybe you see kids who are beat up in their feet later, but that's gonna happen no matter what. So I don't know how to mitigate that. Like be beat up in your feet and fast instead of beat up in your feet and slow.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think no, I think it all looks great. Like your volume progressions look awesome. I think the speeds and the power outputs are right. Like that looks I honestly like pretty much no notes there. Like if I had to do it for, because I think you can train the mile like that. I think
Yeah.
you can train the 5K like that. I think there's space for the 10K as well. Um, so I think what you're doing is pretty appropriate for the event.
Yeah.
The strength and conditioning coach to me is probably going to say like just more pulling, more pull-ups,
Yeah.
but you guys probably don't have a rig out at your track.
No,
So,
I wish. We have
because
all the
nobody does.
space. No
So,
one wants to put a. I've been saying, I'm like, I just can buy one. Just put it. It's like it's so easy. Just put it in the ground right here.
yeah,
But
yeah,
whatever. The progression that I'm thinking is so weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's what they're
yeah,
going to do. It's we're not going to. I'm not changing anything. We've moved to fly 20s, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Because I think that they're mechanically they can tolerate the distance. I
yeah,
think they're good there. They're not falling apart when they're coming through the
yeah,
gate. I think they can maintain it. We've been running, 50 meters worth of mini hurdles pretty much all season so far. So I think that they can understand it. We're going to reduce the plyometric load because we're increasing the distance on the flies. So I'm going to reduce
yeah,
that a little bit because I don't really need them to be able to do that. And then eventually progress to some single leg hopping and
cool.
jumping. And then in weeks, we're going to take a full week off from speed development the week before our conference meet. And then the week of conference section of the state, going back to just running 3 fast flies, but they're
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
fly 30s and then fast 300s afterwards. And then I'm probably going to get rid of all the plyometric work the weeks of regional section of the state
yeah.
and
That makes
just keep,
sense.
yeah, and just keep it as flies, full recovery, some 300s afterwards, and then on the speed prep days, it will still be just mini hurdles.
Yeah. I think the move to 20s and 30s too, like at those times is really appropriate just from a like almost refreshing interest back in it.
Yeah,
Oh, I get a new PR. Okay, now I got to set another one. All right, now this is boring. Oh, 30s. Great. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
That makes sense to me. I do think maybe there's a little bit of space for lateral. I don't know how much lateral movement you have in there. I always get sketchy with distance guys and their lateral movement and lack of it. So I always like push a little further maybe than I
Yeah.
should. Um, but no,
So
I
in
think that makes sense to me. That's super appropriate for you guys.
the lateral movements that we do are within our strength circuits. So we do these things after every workout, basically. It's like a ladder up or a ladder down from a set number of reps. And it's always movements like Cossack squats or curtsy squats or stuff like
Yeah.
that, single leg squats, rear foot elevated split squats with push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, that or not
Oh,
pull-ups,
yeah.
that kind of stuff. Um,
Then you're addressing it and yeah, you're good. Um, oh, what in if you can't answer this just from a propriety standpoint, let me know. How does your fly and power circuit work compare with your race schedule? Like, are you guys racing every week now, or are you doing intermittent racing, saving it for the postseason?
yeah,
And if you can't answer that, like I would understand, but
no, I think
um,
that no, we're racing every week for the
okay,
most part. Yeah, the big guys are going to be racing every week, and that's like starting now till then till the end of the season.
okay.
That's the goal. Not every week, I should say that we don't have a race the week before conference, but no, I mean that's on our schedule, which is on our
Are
website.
we are we
I
done
think
with
they
are
what
we done with the days of midweek races? Tuesday, Wednesday racing?
we don't we no, but that's
Those
usually
are
for our
gone.
lower level guys.
Okay.
It's usually for the lower level guys that don't get weekend races because like
Okay.
there's I think three invites that don't have open
Oh wow.
events. So the freshmen, sophomores, they'll get like two midweek races.
Okay.
They this year there's usually three, but this year the one in the beginning of January or the beginning of August or mid August, whenever that was, got canceled because of
Gotcha.
the
Yeah, yeah.
heat. Yeah,
I just been out of the
but
game so long.
I think there's the thing that I'm most curious about and that I'm gonna come back to is the placement of the max velocity day in relation to the meet. And how does that correlate to how a max velocity day is placed before a track meet for a sprinter versus a distance athlete versus a
Sure, yeah.
cross country athlete and a cross country race? Um, my theory is that a max velocity day before a race, like literally the day before, as a pre meet, could be a huge potentiator for a kid to run a really fast 3 mile race. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not going to test that theory now, but
Yeah, yeah.
I have it in place. And there are certain places where it's going to happen, and there are certain places where I don't have it there. But I'm really interested to see how that's going to correlate. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts? Where do you think, if you just think through it real quick?
I think that I feel like that would be appropriate. I think most for sure your cross country guys who run like 8 mile or 4.8 in the spring probably would love that. Like that
Mm-hmm.
was that was sort of a staple of what we did. And if we didn't hit like something fast, even the day before, like easy run days, we would do like a after run sprint just to prep for like get the legs moving. And for us, it was, early 2000s, so it was flush the lactic acid out. Um, but now I see it was probably really good for potentiation.
Yeah,
You, you know, where we were doing a 7 mile run, which just kind of makes your legs feel pretty dead and you get locked into a rhythm. And then that speed at the end of it breaks you out of that rhythm.
yeah.
And you're all right, there's something there still. And then you come back the next day and go hard. I think it would probably be very beneficial.
To do like a max speed uh, pre meet.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue I see running into is if you don't PR. And
Yeah, yeah,
and not to be mean, I don't think this is just high school boys. I think this is a lot of people, but like you're going into a meet and you're like, all right, I should be fast. And then you're used to running 1:12 and you run a 1:18. You're like, oh no, meet's over. You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
there are them like, but I don't, I think if you set a bandwidth of, if you can run around this time today, don't be freaked out.
yeah,
But if you open up 10% slower than you have all year, then either we're dealing with like crazy nerves or we have something going on. Because that would be an interesting scenario. Like,
yeah,
don't tell the kids what they run, and then look at it and be like, oh, we were 10% slower. How did his race look? Does the kid come back 2 days later and be like, yeah, coach, I have the flu or I'm sick? Like,
hmm,
I almost feel like it could almost be a screen for,
yeah,
is something coming up on him?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, I think the one thing that I started the whole season out talking about was that these were not sprinters. These
Yeah.
flies are not. It doesn't matter if you're getting faster or not. It truly doesn't.
Yeah.
I think that the whole idea is that all you're trying to do is flat out output. This is your
Yeah.
opportunity to give me the most output you can in a sprint form. Now, of course, it's purely a central nervous system training thing. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the time itself, because you're a 3 miler. Right
Yeah.
now, you are a 3 miler. Even if you're an 800 guy in the spring, you're a 3 miler right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the technical aspect of running the mini hurdles properly is more important than getting a fast fly time.
Yeah.
And if you can correlate how you run those mini hurdles and the skills of the drills that we'll do to make you a better runner, that will eventually correlate to a faster fly time.
Yeah.
But that's the most important thing. And I think they're at that point where they're starting to see it. Like they want to get fast fly times because they want to be able to tell their sprint coaches when they see them, but
Yeah.
they're starting to understand like, okay, this is just for training effect. It has nothing to do with
Yeah.
the time itself, that it doesn't correlate to my 3 mile time.
Yeah. I think if you surveyed most coaches and athletes around the world about what they do the day before a cross country race, you're going to find they run some version of a fly. It might be a 200-meter buildup where they're going to fly. They're essentially flying at the end of it. But then also,
Yeah.
what do we do right before the cross country race starts?
Yeah.
Hard runouts.
Sprints. Yeah.
Like no one's jogging out of the doing runouts at a jog. It's always a hard run out. And I think
Yeah.
the idea behind that is potentiation and then perception of speed. Okay, so like the race goes off and you're like, this is so much slower than I just ran.
Yeah.
So you do feel that sense of like, okay, this is a manageable rhythm. And I think even just the mental aspect of increasing the perception of the speed you're capable of, and then being a mile and a half into a race and being like, all right, we're running 4:45s right now, but like I'm so fast kid alive, like 4:45 is
Yeah. Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
so I think that even that perception of like I have way more in me than I'm giving right now, I'm just moving longer, is
Yeah.
helpful. So yeah, I think fly right before, like max speed the day before, is really sensible.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna see if I test that theory this year.
Very nice.
Yeah. All right, man. We're gonna revisit this in 4 weeks or so and see how
Yeah.
things are going again.
Yeah. And then I
Next week, are
already
we revisiting your first 3 weeks now? Right? That next week would be week 3, or is that week
next week is
4?
week 3.
Oh, okay.
So
So
I'm
we will
I'm in
revisit in a
testing next
couple
week.
weeks.
I've already blown it up.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear.
Yeah. So here's my teaser. Here's my teaser for that podcast if you've made it this far. Um an injury 3 days before the first day of practice led me to revisit everything I was doing.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, got the message. Why is so and so in the athletic training room? Beats me. He's on crutches now. Oh, good news.
Oh God.
So, but he'll be a good case study because I mean, that happened right before practice started, and here we are. He just did sled pushes. He did drop in excels. So I think we're 10 days out, and he's jumping pretty big and sprinting pretty well already. So
I'm assuming some sort of hamstring muscular
oh,
injury.
100% hamstring. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be fun to like revisit those notes. So
Yeah.
be like, we didn't do any of this. So,
Awesome.
all right,
And then
man.
we'll
This is
get
good. I'm
added.
excited to
Yeah.
see what your guys do.
Yeah.
Saturday?
Same. Yep.
All right.
First meet. All right, man.
All right. This is
I will
fun. We'll
see you.
see you, Nico.
Bye.
Bye.